All right. Welcome back to Correctional Officer Stories with Steve. As always, I'm your host. Thanks for tuning in today. As you can see the title, we're going to talk about the STEMI checks, the stimulus checks. As I know, a lot of people are interested in when they're going to receive them, how they're going to go out, where's my check. I updated my direct deposit information and I still haven't seen any info. So I've got some information. I followed it. We are going to get one. It's not going to be, a crazy amount like a lot of folks are going to get, but we're still going to get something. So I'm super appreciative of that. So if it sounds like that's, I'm like, don't care, then that's not how it is. I just want to give the folks out there and in the nation and the world an update on stimulus checks. So again, my name is Steve. This is my channel, Correctional Officer Stories. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Goon Squad, I know you're probably like, what's up with the the change in the channel. I'm just giving some updates here, y'all. So we'll get back to the correction stuff here in the coming weeks. Anyway, so I learned that I had shared a Time magazine article saying the next round of stimulus checks are going out as far as direct deposit. Now, if you look and if you read and you watch YouTube, you'll see that they're sending out 5 million paper checks a week. And they started that last week, which would have been, I think, April, the 20th. They started sending out checks, and it could have been a little bit before that. So, and they're doing it by income. So they're doing it with basically the non-filers, which means if you make $12,400 or less, or $12,200 or less, you're going to get your check. So it goes in increments, I think, of 10,000. If you're making 10,000 to 12,000 or whatever, let's just say 10,000, you get your check. Your check went out last week. This week will be 20,000. Next week will be 30,000. The following week will be 40,000. The following week will be 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. So, and they might be doing it a little bit more than that. However, that's what I've read as far as the paper checks. Now, as of April 15th, you were able to go onto the IRS.gov site. If you hadn't put in your direct deposit information, you were able to update that info. You needed your adjusted gross income for either 2018 or 2019. So if you hadn't filed 2018, you needed your adjusted gross income for that year. For 2019, if you were filing for 2019, you needed your adjusted gross income. Also, you need to obviously put your social security number in, your birth date, your residence of where you filed, and then you would also need to put in the amount, whether you owed or what the refund amount was. Now, a lot of people that had a refund come to them and they already had their direct deposit info in there, they already received their checks the week of August 13th. So a lot of people got them between the 13th and the 15th, which was several million Americans. As you guys know, there was a lot of, checks that went out to people that had already been deceased. You're not going to have to pay that back if you got that and for some reason were able to access that money. You're not going to be able to get that back. Obviously, you're not going to go cash a check of somebody that's deceased because that's called fraud. However, I would definitely recommend getting your direct deposit information up on that Get My Payment system on IRS.gov, and I will leave the link below. The article that I read said that if you have your direct deposit information in by on or before April 22nd, you will be receiving your check by the week of the 28th. So as I've said, a lot of people continue to look at that Get My Payment system, and it continued to say whether either you were eligible, and when we had a date, we would send your check to the deposit, the last four of your checking account that you had listed, or you're ineligible, or we need more information. Well, the IRS did some updates the 23rd, 24th, and they're doing more today to that Get My Payment site, and they've done a lot of updates to where now it's saying because I've been looking for like 10, I think Friday was 10 or 11 days, because I did it right away. April 15th, I put my direct deposit information in there because we're in that bracket where my wife and I owe money, usually not a ton, but we owe money. So I don't get a refund. Especially this year, I didn't get a refund. So I ended up looking last night, and it was the first time that it had said, something like, it gave a date. As of April 30th, we will be releasing your check direct deposit. So that's a good sign, right? Because I've been looking and it continued to say you are eligible, and when we have a date, we will release it to the last four of my account number. I went and looked on my wife's because we filed jointly, said the same thing, April 30th. So if you're watching this and you're wondering where the hell is my payment, and you did direct deposit, and you keep getting that same message and you haven't looked at it for a couple days, at least since Friday, go into the IRS.gov site and go to get my payment, put your information in, and you should have a date if you got your direct deposit information in there by on or before April 22nd. Now, as far as anything after that, you'll probably be in the next wave of checks to be sent out. So go in there and get your information updated as soon as possible, people, because they're wanting to get these direct deposits out first. And what they said is the next wave of direct deposits will go to tax filers. There was no income limitation, and Social Security recipients that didn't get it the first time that have gone in and filed will be receiving their payments. Now, as far as like the check payments, if you haven't already put your direct deposit information in there, you might have already been set up to receive a check by mail, and it will let you know that when you go to put your direct deposit information. It'll probably say you're not eligible to receive direct deposit. We've already released a date for a check, and it should give the date. So the IRS is working very hard to keep that site updated, because I was super frustrated, as a lot of Americans were. Even though it's not going to be some huge amount, it's better than nothing, right? It's obviously better than nothing. I'm super appreciative of it. So go back and check that IRS.gov site if you have not received your payment and you're waiting on a direct deposit, and you're several of the million Americans that I've seen either on the news or YouTube, because there's several videos out there, but nobody's talking about, everybody wants to know. It says I'm eligible, but when am I going to get my payment? Nobody knows. So finally, I saw a link that was shared where that article said from Time Magazine or the Wall Street Journal, I think it was, next wave of stimulus checks to be deposited. So I gave it a day, and then I looked yesterday, and then boom, there was a date. So it was updated. So that was fairly on point. Now, does that mean that here comes April 30th and then my check will go in there for my wife and I? Hopefully, right? Then that'll pose a whole new set of questions if it doesn't go in. Now, if you're waiting on a check, you should also have a date. Now, if you're in that bracket of and you either, let's say you're single and you're 75K and above, and you're just, electing to get a check and you're not putting your direct deposit information in, it's going to be probably the end of May, beginning of June. Now, if you're a joint filer and your wife and you make more than 190, I think everybody thinks it's 150. Pretty sure it's up to 199. You'll still get something. Anything 199 and above, you're not going to receive anything. So I don't know really if we might get like $1 or something. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm not saying we're millionaires, and I'm not saying that we make 199. I'm not telling you what we make, but we're going to get a check, a direct deposit. There for a minute, I didn't think we would, because of anyway, it's not going to get into it. So that's the information I have, folks. If you're watching this and you're looking for your stimulus direct deposit, get onto that, get my payment information, and you should have an updated date as to when it will be released, as long as you've updated your direct deposit information on or before the 22nd of April. Now, again, like I said, the paychecks going out to the mail are going out by your income status. So 10,000 one week, 20,000 the next week, 30,000. And it could be 10 to 20, boom, they sent out 5 million. 20 to 30, boom, they sent out another 5 million checks. 30 to 40, boom, they sent another. Because these aren't, I don't know how accurate these House committee statements are. I mean, they're not, I don't think they're statutory codes or ARS where it's just absolute accurate, and that probably wasn't said right, where it's just 100% accurate information. I think the IRS is just trying to get these checks out as fast as they can to get the people the money so they can catch up on bills. Now, if you're just getting $1,200 and you're behind on your rent, and you have your bills that you're behind on, I'm telling you, people, take it. If you cannot pay your bills, take advantage of every single opportunity the government's offering right now. Take advantage of it. Don't sit there and say, well, I called my mortgage company and they said after 90 days I'm going to owe the payments that I missed within that 90 day plus my mortgage. Bullshit. If you really look into what the government's doing as we've progressed into this pandemic, mortgage companies aren't allowed to do that. They're not going to, if you can't pay it now, what makes them think you're going to be able to pay it in 90 days? Whether it's an FHA or conventional loan, it does not matter. It's still a loan mortgage. It's still a mortgage. So you can defer a conventional mortgage and you can defer an FHA. I think I've heard people say that they can't defer a conventional. Yes, you can. Before you make all these false and inaccurate statements, really think about and read and look into it, people, because I've looked into a lot of things and I myself have pushed things back just because I'm utilizing the options that are given from the government. Could I have paid that? Yeah, of course. But if they're going to give me time, or they're going to waive some of my credit card payments and let me just completely waive the payment and make my payment due the next month and take away the interest and not put that payment back to the end of my loan, why would I not do that? I'm taking advantage of everything the government is offering because they take advantage of us, right? So take advantage. And I'm not, that's probably a negative statement. They've helped us. They didn't have to put out them stimulus checks. And I think I hear a lot of people talking about this next round of, they're possibly going to write another bill in, another CARES Act bill that says, Americans will receive $2,000 a month for 6 months, and then they would reevaluate. Come on, people, do you really think they're going to give another 85 million Americans $2,000 a month? I mean, it would obviously be based on criteria on income info, but that's not going to happen. I mean, I would be shocked if maybe 1,000 for 6 months and a little bit more if you've got kids and you're married. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it's in a bill and it's there, it's being written, it's being looked at, but it's not going to be 2,000. They're not going to give 2,000 to every single American, especially if you're single and you don't have any kids. So I wouldn't count on that. And there's going to be a lot of disagreements probably with me because, some of my statements are probably not factual. But just really think about that. The government's not going to give you to everybody, 85 more million Americans, $2,000 a month for 6 months to get by. I think now that they're opening the economy, we're still going to be in the new way of living. I don't know, did they overact on this pandemic? Did we go into crisis mode? Maybe a little bit. I don't know because I haven't had it. Do I know people that have had it? Yes, I do. Finally talked to some people that have had it, and it's no joke. Like, especially if you get a strand that takes away your ability to breathe and your respiratory system, it's taken their lives, people, as you know that, as you've seen the numbers in New York and New Jersey and California and Illinois and some of these states and Florida and now Georgia. I mean, that's way too radical. Why would you open all the way back up? Like, you've got, your numbers are off the chart. Like, that doesn't even make sense. But they're doing it. So here in Arizona, Ducey still has the stay-at-home order in effect till this Thursday, April 30th. Do I think he's going to release it? Absolutely. We're going to go into phase one where we start to slowly integrate back into the workplace, and he slowly starts to open some barbershops, and I think he's going to open some bowling alleys, and other places that are able to open in phase one. I think he's still going to want Americans to telecommute. If you're working, as am I'm telecommuting. So just be diligent when you think, people. Like, for all you guys that are on unemployment, like, I know it's brutal. I hope you guys get your jobs back. And I'm not one of those people that say, unemployment's bullshit, and if you're sitting at home nobody's going to go back to work because they're making more money on unemployment. Well, that tells you something, right? Maybe we should be getting raises in our positions, because if they can pay that much, $600 on top of whatever the state offers, like in Arizona, I think the max benefit weekly is $240. So you figure that's plus $600 is $840 weekly. That's $1,680 every 2 weeks. That's more than most. I can't remember the percentage, but it's like 55 or 56% of Americans take home every 2 weeks. So you figure if you do the calculations on that, $3,200 a month. Let's say if that was, after taxes, you'd be somewhere in the bracket of like close to $5,000 a month. That's like $75,000-$80,000 a year. So for a single person, it's not an average income in America. It's more like 30 to 40, and maybe even less than that. I'm not sure. It depends on the state, and these aren't factual statements again, people. But pay attention. Stimmy checks are coming. They're trying to get them out. So like I said, if you are waiting for that direct deposit and you put your information on or before April 22nd, you should now have a date. If you don't see one, look again tonight, because they're doing more updates. I mean, remember, there's millions of Americans that they've got to update. Even though you think it's just electronic, it's still got to happen. They still got to have that information. So you should be seeing your direct deposit here shortly. Hopefully those dates are accurate and everything works out for you guys. I know it's been a tough time, but we're going to get back to the new normal. And I really think the economy now is going to take a drastic, as it already has. We probably will be back in an 08 situation where it's a complete recession, maybe into depression. Who knows? I mean, it's very hard to tell where we're going at this point. I mean, it's scary. You know what I mean? It's very scary to think about it. I mean, there's a lot of things I could sit here and talk about, but I'm just not going to put on YouTube. But it's scary to think that where we're headed here. You hear talks about now we want to, are we going to get back at China because if we can prove that they leaked this virus, what do you think that would lead into? A nuclear war that would just end the world. We have crazy power as the U.S. military, but at nuclear warheads, it doesn't matter how much power. You start lighting off nuclear warheads, and in about 24 hours, the world disintegrates. So I don't know. We do a lot of trade and demand with China and some of these other countries, especially pharmaceutical-wise. So you guys take care. And we'll talk to you. Peace.